Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather, and today we are prepping for the month. Now, I went to Costco and Sam's and even in some other grocery stores and picked up the things I'm going to need for the month. And I thought I would show you how I prep and prepare and package the bulk foods that I got from Sam's and Costco. So if you're ready for this adventure, let's get started. I'm actually pretty excited to show you how it is that I get through my month using big bulk items. So you ready for this? Let's get started. All right, so the first bulk item that I am gonna prep with you are these bell peppers. They were at Sam's Club. They were way cheaper than the peppers in the grocery store. So I'm actually going to utilize our Rapid Prep mandolin as I make this. If you've never seen the Rapid Prep mandolin before, you are going to be in for a treat. I'm just gonna set it up real quick because I have a lot of things to prep today. So what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna do some basic knife work. These have already been washed, and I am roughly taking the centers out and any of the seeds. And if I miss any of that green top bit, I'll just trim it on off. So if you've never seen the Rapid Prep mandolin before, prepare to be impressed. So first of all, the first thing that I want to prepare for is my fajitas. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on large slices. Let's see how big I want them, probably as big as they go. And then I'm just gonna stick my peppers in. So if I wanted to separate the colored peppers out, I would just do one, dump it out, do the next, dump it out. But since it doesn't really matter to me where and how they're mixed together, we're just gonna do them all. And just like that, all of my peppers are now prepped, except for the red one, because obviously that's the one that I decided that I was going to do differently. And I'm just going to put them into a freezer bag. And then, because I want a collection of peppers, I'm gonna shake them all up. And then I'm going to split these in two, because one of them is gonna go to the freezer for freezer fajitas, and one is gonna be for fajitas later this week. Okay, that looks good. Okay, 2 bags of fajitas ready for the chicken. Now let's go ahead and do up our red peppers. And I'm gonna grab another freezer bag, and there we go. Now, it's very important that you label every bag that goes in your freezer. However, because this is gonna be finished in just a couple days, I feel secure putting it in just like this. Bink! Okay, I'm gonna give this a quick wipe. And according to my clock, that whole thing took less than 5 minutes. Next, we are gonna go on to the chicken. Now, I'm gonna use my FoodSaver bag. You definitely don't have to use a FoodSaver machine to prep chicken, but I do suggest that you prep all of your fresh ingredients before you prep any of your raw ingredients. I actually do have some carrots to prep as well, but I'm gonna have to do them later because I have so much meat to do. I want to go ahead and get it started. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna get all of the ones for the FoodSaver in FoodSaver bags so that I can just get them sealed up and ready for the freezer. So here I have my handy dandy FoodSaver, and this is 3.5 pounds of chicken. So here I have my FoodSaver. Let's go ahead and turn it on, get the bag sealed at the bottom, and we will pull out as much bag as we need, and I probably only need about that much. That'll be fine. I'll do like 3 bags. So what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna roll down my bag. I actually have 2 packages of this chicken that I'm gonna work with today, but I'll just do one at a time so that I have the least amount of cross-contamination. And now I'm gonna take a pair of tongs and I'm gonna put the correct amount of chicken in each bag. And next, I'm gonna do that all over again with the next set of chicken. Sanitize knife, and I'm gonna go ahead and sanitize the board. And now we're ready to move forward. So what we're gonna do first, let me go ahead and get some of these over here, is we're going to season these. And I'm gonna use some of the Kinder's brand seasonings. So the first one we're gonna use is the poultry blend, which is called Buttery Poultry Blend. I'm just going to drop some in my bag. like so, probably like a tablespoon and a half. Then I'm gonna take some olive oil and drizzle it on the side. And then I'm going to mash the bag to mix it all around. And then I will decide, as we look at it, if I think number one, it needs more olive oil, and number two, if it has enough seasoning. Usually I err on the side of more seasoning, and then when it comes out of the bag later, I'm not worried that I don't have enough seasoning left during that, because maybe we've used it all that week. And I feel like I need a little bit more olive oil, probably like a tablespoon total for the whole thing. And that's just to move the seasonings around. Once I think my chicken is well seasoned, I move it around my package and make it as flat as possible, because this will help it to defrost later. Any lumps of chicken and it won't defrost very happily at all. Then I'm gonna do this. Get my bag in here and voila. And on here, I'm gonna write buttery poultry 5 thighs and the date. I'm just gonna put 4/23 and done. So that one will go into the freezer, and then whenever I'm ready to grill or bake or sous vide, I just have to take that bag out and I know exactly what's in it. Okay, so next we're gonna use the bourbon peach, also from Kinder's. I'm really enjoying the Kinder's seasonings lately. They have a lot of really fantastic new flavors, one of them being bourbon peach. I don't know, I know I'm a Pampered Chef consultant and I like Pampered Chef seasonings as well, but Kinder's has got it going on. Massage, massage. Oh, the peach one smells. This is really delicious with actual grilled peaches. I feel like I needed a little bit more seasoning. So this chicken will probably, if we can find some peaches in season, so not really in season right now, this will probably done on the grill with some peaches, because it'll taste absolutely fantastic together. Let's spread out our pieces so that they defrost much better. And into our FoodSaver it's gonna go. And while it's food saving, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a rate. And so on and so forth until you are done with your chicken. Now, one thing that I forgot, and I put them in FoodSaver bags and I'm really kind of bummed about it, is I forgot that I was planning to put some of those in fajitas, so I just ruined 2 FoodSaver bags. There are people who reuse their FoodSaver bags. That's fine. I don't. By the way, I'm using the wood-fired garlic. You know what? Maybe I'll change it up. Maybe I will make steak fajitas instead of chicken fajitas. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. All right, the next one we're gonna do is called Kickin' Chicken. It's from Weber. We found this seasoning about 6 years ago, and it is by far one of our favorite seasonings. Like, it's up there in the top 2. So, there we go. All right, I think for our last 2, we are going to do roasted garlic brown butter. This is a new one. We haven't tried this one before. Ooh, oh. Smells very buttery. Not so much garlicky, but very, ooh. It would probably be much faster for me to take these out of the bag and just sprinkle them on, but then I would have to re-sanitize and clean up my hands and the mess, and it just, no. That one's going on the top of the pile. All right, and finally, we are gonna use the margarita seasoning. I did just season some pork with it, but we have not had that pork yet, so I don't even know if it's good, but apparently it's made with tequila. I don't know if I'm a fan of tequila or not, so we will find out. All right, in it goes. And chicken is done. So the chicken took about 20 minutes to do, which is a little longer than I'd hoped, but hey, whatever. So we're gonna leave this close by. Oh, actually, let's do the bacon. All right, Costco-sized bacon, here we are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this open, and I'm going to grab my container, And I'm using the snack size containers from Tupperware because this is going into my refrigerator, not my freezer. I'll take my bacon, lay it on down, and then I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. And I'm going to get some parchment and a pair of scissors, and I'm going to, that looks good. Cut a piece of parchment off, put this one in here so it doesn't stick together, and then I'm gonna put another row of bacon. And then depending on how full I think that it is, I will do that again. And there we have it. All of our bacon is now in a refrigerated case, so let me go ahead and throw this away. And I gave myself a quick wash, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and trim up these edges. And if this was needing to go in the freezer, I would just put one in the freezer, but this one doesn't have to go in the freezer. And into my refrigerator it will go, so everybody knows where the bacon is. However, since I got a little bit of bacon juice on it, I'm gonna go ahead and sanitize this whole thing and that and get it into the refrigerator. All right, now let's deal with our 2 hunks of beef. So with everything sanitized, we're gonna go ahead and get our prime rib ready for the sous vide. Now, I'm just gonna put salt and pepper on this prime rib because the sous vide is gonna make it absolutely perfect with just salt and pepper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get it out and on my board, and we're gonna salt and pepper it before it goes in the bag. And we're gonna use our handy Linker salt and pepper shakers because I love them. And that means that one hand can be dirty. Let's start with salt first. And we want to salt this well. So not just a little salt, you want this thing to be covered in salt. Did I say this is prime rib? I believe that these are ribeyes, not prime rib. Okay, now pepper. Perfect. All right. Thank you for your service. Back over here you go. And with the freshly washed hands, once again, I'm gonna go ahead and get my bag ready to go. This other piece of meat is a round eye roast that I'm gonna cut into steaks, and we're also gonna do it for the fajitas. All right, so this is for the sous vide, so I wanna make sure that I have enough bag to be able to seal and go underwater and all that jimmy jazz. So we gave lots of bag room. I'm gonna roll it down, and now I'm gonna get a pair of tongs and lift this bad boy up and into the bag. And then we will seal our ribeye. All right, now our ribeye is ready for the freezer. Okay. So now, since our board already has beef on it, I have no problem putting more beef on it. And here I have my round eye roast, which I'm gonna cut some steaks off of and cut my fajitas out of. So I'm just gonna do a couple eye of round steaks. These are gonna be for some little people who are coming to my house next week, and they want steak along with the ribeye that their parents are getting. So we're gonna make sure that we have some steaks for the little guys and trim off any of that fat that we don't need for fajitas. All right. And then for this fajita meat, I think I'm gonna cut this direction, and we're just gonna cut some nice thick chunks of fajita meat. And these will cook fantastically. And then we're gonna put it raw in with here because this is all gonna go in the freezer or be cooked by tomorrow. And I'm just gonna literally put that all in the pan in a very hot sizzling skillet. I do feel like they're a little chunky though. If you make fajitas out of your eye round, make them a little thinner than that. All right, and then this one's gonna go in this bag. And I'll probably weigh these just to make sure they're about the same. 1 pound, 5.75 ounces, 1 pound, 9 ounces, 1 pound, 8 ounces. There we go. So they're almost identical. Now the only thing these need are the seasonings and the onion. But first, let's deal with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash again. And we will get out a bag for the sous vide. All right, and now into our bag, these guys are gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and just give my onion a rough chop for the bag. All right, those steaks are ready to go. Let's go ahead and get these seasoned up and sealed and into their appropriate places. So we're gonna use the carne asada seasoning from, you guessed it, Kinder's. All right, in the olive oil goes. Now this time you want to make sure you have a couple tablespoons of oil because you need it. And then we're gonna do like 2 tablespoons of seasoning per bag. Seal it up, but don't push the air out because we're gonna shake, 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 and check it out. Look at that. Look how beautiful. Okay, now I'm going to press all of the air out of that. And then if this one is going into the freezer, which maybe this one will go into the freezer, I will flatten it out just like I flatten everything else out. I will grab another bag and I will place this bag inside that bag just to ensure that I have no leakage later. And then I will take my marker, find the front, label it. All right, this one's gonna be for tomorrow. So I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna get it into the refrigerator. I don't need to label it because I'm gonna know what I did tomorrow, in theory. Okay, we're heading into the hour mark. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I think the chicken took longer than I thought it was gonna take. It's fine. Okay, that one's for refrigerator. So that's all refrigerated. Okay, let's go ahead and get this cleaned. Whoa, and next we are gonna deal with our hamburger. So let's go ahead and get this off of the tray. Whoa, that's a lot of hamburger. Almost 8 pounds of hamburger. Oh, what a mess. All right, so for this one, we're gonna need a scale and a piece of parchment. And since I know it's just over 7 pounds, I'm gonna need 7 bags. So let's go ahead and get our bags out. Okay, while I was preparing my bags, I remembered that I actually only need 4 bags. I'm going to cook up 2 of these ahead of time because I need them to be already cooked in my freezer. So I'm gonna roll down my bags just like I have with all of the others. This makes for a cleaner seal later. And I'll stack those right there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 1 pound of meat. There we go. And I'll set that off to the side, put in another one. I realized I'm gonna need actually more raw than ground this time around. That's fine though. Okay, now that I have the 6 pounds weighed out, this pound 75-ish is going to go in a skillet for tacos later this week. So literally, while I package up these pounds, I am going to get this into the skillet and it's gonna brown all by itself. I'm gonna crumble it up and leave it, and then crumble and leave it, and then we'll season it with taco seasoning and tacos are done. Okay, so now with our very large, much too large bags, I don't know what I was thinking, we are going to pick up our meat and put it all into the bag. And I'm just gonna put them all into the bag to start with, and then I'll show you how I store them. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this, and sanitize this area because the meat is inside the bags and not on my counter. All right, now that they're all sanitized and ready to go, I'm gonna take one of these bags and I'm going to flatten it out as flat as I can get it. And the reason is because when this defrosts, again, just like the chicken, there's more surface area that touches the warmer area of my refrigerator. So this will defrost in nearly no time. So usually my bags are a little smaller, but I just got a little crazy. And then I'm gonna suck that up. We're gonna do the same thing with all the rest. All right, that meat's almost done. And now we're gonna label these. It is time for me to get these into the freezer. So I will be right back. All right, we are sanitized, ready for our last cut of meat. Last but not least, we have 2 of these pork loins. Now, I love buying my pork in the loin cut because this is only $1.98 a pound, and with very little effort, I can get all of my pork chops out of this for less than $20. So If you haven't started buying loins yet and cutting your own pork chops, here's your sign. It's a little messy, just a little bit, but not too bad. So what I suggest you doing is opening this, and we're gonna go pour out all of the juice into the sink or some kind of trash. Next thing we will do is we will just give it a good dry, and that's only because it makes it easier to work with. I'm gonna go ahead and cut like right here, just so it's easier to work with little bits at a time. And I'll move this guy over here, and we'll work with this guy first. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make almost this entire loin into pork chops. I'm also going to use some of the bits like at the end and whatnot and make them into like carnita type sizes. So really small pieces that I can stick in the sous vide later in the month. So I'm just gonna start the edge, and I'm gonna cut. The other thing I love about the loin is I get to decide how big my pork chops are or how small they are. Most of these pork chops are gonna go in the barbecue, so I want them like medium-ish. I don't want them real thick, but I don't want them real thin either. So we'll take about 1/2 inch or so, and there we go, our first pork chop. And I'll just continue to cut all of them. And if ever there becomes a piece of this meat that doesn't look very pork choppy, I will put that aside for my carnitas bag. That will be at the very end. Make sure you have a really sharp knife too. Makes food prepping all of this meat so much easier. So as we start to get to the end here, this is the part I'm talking about. So look at how small this pork chop is compared to, say, this one. Now, this darker meat is my favorite kind of meat, so I definitely want some of those pork chops in each bag. But then as we get to this bottom bit, you know, that doesn't, maybe I can get one more pork chop out of that. Let's see. So that's, I'm probably not going to use that as a pork chop. See how thin that part is? So instead, what I'll do is I will go ahead and cut them into strips, and I will discard any of that extra fat over there. And then I'm gonna cut it into chunks. So strips first, then chunks. Because then when they cook in my sous vide, they're all kind of bite size, and I can just pour them out right onto my tacos or my taco salad or whatever. Okay, let's go on here, get some more pork chops. Now that's a big fat cap. You could trim off that excess fat just using a knife and like pulling apart. But because most of these are gonna go on our barbecue, I'll go ahead and leave it for now. If I pull any out and they go in the sous vide, I'll probably trim off that bit of fat just because the sous vide doesn't really render fat very well. Yes, I can sear it and all that, but sometimes I'm a little lazy. That's why I prep things ahead of time, so I can be lazy on the day of cooking. And those are my thick cut ones. These are the medium. Did I say that? I'm doing thick cut. See the difference? These ones are nice and thick, and these guys are nice and thin. So I'm gonna do 5 or 6. Oops, I did 6, but that one's kind of thin. I'll move that one to the thin side. And then I'll go back to thin again. Not thin, medium. Because I don't want them real thin, but I want them thin enough that they can barbecue and be done. But I like the thick ones for things like shake and bake type ideas. So a thicker pork chop. Also sous videing is really nice for the thicker pork chops because they stay nice and tender. Okay, so now I'm just gonna cut up these bits. All right, and what you did not see is that I already did this once, and so my bag of carnitas is already ready in the refrigerator because I did this exact thing already one time just a little while ago because my son came home for lunch from work and he said, "Oh, are you cutting that pork loin yet? I would like some for lunch." And so he took 4 or 5 really thinly sliced pork chops and threw them on the barbecue, and that's what we had for lunch. So I already did the first one, but into that bag all of the carnitas went, and I will season that and seal it up in just a moment. So now let's take care of these guys. So in my bags, these are gonna go. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the thick ones in here, and yes, I will season some, but some of them I'm not gonna season because I don't know who is gonna be eating on what day yet and what this pork meal is going to be. Pork is a little less versatile, in my opinion. So I tend to only pre-season some pork, and then others of it I just leave for maybe salt and pepper or whoever is cooking for the day, but maybe I'll season one. All right, now that all the raw meat is in the bag, I'm gonna go ahead and clean and sanitize one last time. Okay, so let's go ahead and seal up these bags. These are unseasoned, just Joe average pork chops. However, this is the chili verde one. So I'm gonna do what I normally do, is put in the oil. And then before I put the chili verde in there, I'm gonna let the oil go down, smoosh it all around, make sure it gets on the back side. And let's find the chili verde from none other than Kinder's. This is not a sponsored video. All right, dun, 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 dun. All right, and we're gonna flatten it out just as we did all of the chicken, and we're gonna get it sealed in. All right, and that's all of the pork chops all done, and now we can deal with the carnitas. The problem is I'm out of my carnita seasoning. So what do I do? What do I do? Let's go with the avocado lime. I've never tried it before. Let's smell it. Oh, I think I'd like that. So what if I do some taco seasoning and this? I'm just gonna go for it. Oh yeah, all right. Then I'm gonna get that sealed up. And then that will be ready for my sous vide whenever I am. One more thing to go. And last but not least, our taco meat needs to go in a bag. So I realized I said for tacos this week, but ain't no way I'm having tacos and fajitas in 1 week. All right, I didn't do a very good job keeping the top of that bag clean, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spread this out just like I did the raw meat, because again, it will defrost better if it is spread out. And I'm gonna freezer seal this, and now I can get this in my freezer, and one night next week when I feel like I want to have tacos, I can defrost this, get it in my skillet for just a minute or two to warm it up, and then tacos are served. Taco meat. And with that, we are done prepping the meat for my month. Now, that took a little bit longer than an hour, but I think that's due to the fact that I was seasoning all my stuff and I was like, maybe I want this one or that one. But if you have your seasonings already picked out and you have your vacuum seal bags already cut and ready to go, or if you're just using regular Ziploc bags, you could definitely have done this in an hour. But a little over an hour, it's not terrible, but that's okay. You win some, you lose some. Although I still feel like I'm a winner. I prepped all of my meat. I have no more meat prepping to do for the whole month, which means that everything's already ready to go. I just have to decide the sides and sometimes decide what kind of meal I'm actually going to make with the pork chops or the beef or whatever. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed watching me prep all of the meat for the month. It's not a regular everyday video, but it is an everyday cooking video because you just saw me prep. Oh my goodness, I should have counted how many pounds of meat that is. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna count how much meat I actually prepped, but it's right here. You just saw me prep this much meat in about an hour and a half. And you guys, it's gonna make my month so much easier because it's a busy month. This is my birthday month and this is Easter month and there's some other stuff going on. So I am super excited that all of my stuff is prepped and in the refrigerator and freezer, ready for my week and my month. That's it, you guys. If you enjoyed that video, give it a like. Let me know what kind of videos you wanna see me do in the future. Did you actually enjoy this prep video? Maybe I'll do another one, but I don't know. It's pretty much gonna look the same, only different quantities of different stuff depending on what we feel like for the month. This month apparently was very heavy in pork because I ended up with 10 pounds of pork. Actually, I ended up with 20 pounds of pork. That's right, because I had 2 pork loins, 20 pounds of pork. Usually there's not that much pork, but My son was like, I would like more pork this month, so that's what we did. So each month's a little different, but basically it's the same idea. And sometimes I do freezer meals. There's actually some freezer meals in my freezer right now, along with all of the prepped meat. But I'm gonna continue to do freezer meals for you, for videos, and that's it. I'm just gonna stop talking now because this video has been long enough. All right, you guys, I'll see you on the next adventure. Bye.